EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to this episode of EduTechGuys Radio, brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative and Hope Public Schools, both located in Hope, Arkansas. I am David Henderson.
And I'm Jeff Madlock.
And Greg is currently MIA, but I assume he'll be here shortly.
He will. It's the first week of school, so first week of school, a little hectic. He's my sysadmin, so he keeps himself quite busy.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on first week of school. We, in retrospect, probably should have postponed this show. But, hey, we're going to roll with the punches and see what happens.
But that's what makes it fun.
It does. You never know what's going to happen next. We almost never know. However, what we do know is that today we're going to be talking with Ginger Lewman about project-based learning, how it's used in the classroom setting, but also how she uses it in teacher professional development. And then, as always, we got some other EduTech topics, and we've got our Artist of the Week, which is going to be Nick C. That is Niksea, Nick C. out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's going to be our featured Artist of the Week, and I'm sure we'll have a Google tip or something.
Oh, we'll have a Google tip. Hey, you listen to radio.edutechguys.com. You can check us out right now at radio.edutechguys.com. That'll take you to Mixler. You can sign in if you want to. You can listen to the show, see how things are going. You can also catch us on the web at www.edutechguys.com. At the bottom, you'll find a comment. Fill it out. Let us know what you think of the show or anything you like, any topics you'd like us to cover. Also, catch us on Twitter at EduTechGuys. Right now, we are on Periscope. We are live to the Periscope folks out there.
Hey, how's it going?
I can see there's Ginger in the back.
Oh, you can see her waving. There's Ginger.
There she is. She's live in the studio via virtual Skype. So, check us out on Periscope. Just look up EduTechGuys. That's what we are there. Fun day today. Like David said, a lot of schools are starting school this week. In Arkansas, we definitely have started school this week.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's been an easy year for our school. We've had a really great opening. We've had a really great time. Schedules are great. Kids are great. Technology's great.
Man, you better find some wood or a magic wand or something.
As Greg said, I'm going to jinx the whole thing if I don't watch out.
You've got some Kool-Aid in your blood, my friend.
Hey, speak of the devil.
Hey, uh-oh.
There's Greg. He just walked into the studio.
Mr. Greg Moore has joined us.
He has entered the room.
He has entered the building.
Fashionably late.
Fashionably is up for debate.
Like David said, we're here today. We've got Ginger Lewman on the program, and we're going to talk about some other great stuff later in the show, things that are happening around the world of tech. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. If you have a question, hit us on Twitter. We'd like to answer your question. We're also going to be this December...
Yeah, this December.
Throw it to Dave.
Throwing it to me. I thought you were going to play my new promo thing. This December, the 2nd through the 5th, we are going to be broadcasting live from the AESA conference in New Orleans. And that is going to be awesome. We're going to be talking with presenters. We'll be meeting up with attendees as they come by, and we snag them off the carpet and force them to sit in front of the microphone.
And I thought about it. I'm going to bring my ukulele and make them sing jazz ukulele with me.
hey, whatever is going to get them over, right?
That probably won't get them over.
Steer clear of the guy with the ukulele, whatever you do.
But no, seriously, we are. We're going to be at the Hyatt Regency where the conference is going on, and definitely appreciate the folks at AESA for giving us the opportunity to come to you live during their conference.
We're pretty excited about that one.
It's going to be very cool.
So as school starts up, I hope everyone's having a wonderful school year already. I noticed this summer that there was some great stuff going on in the workshops out there. It seemed ISTE had a really good year. Mm-hmm. I follow them on Twitter. I didn't get to go, but I did get to follow them on Twitter. It looks like they had a really good year. And a lot of the local conferences had a really good year. I've noticed of all the tweets that I follow, teachers seem to be having they're embracing technology more. And they're getting the idea of PBL in the classroom using technology. How'd you like that? Throw that out there.
Hey.
So,
Okay, here's the first rule. When you make a very cool segue, don't bring attention to it. Just let it roll.
No. You totally got to do that.
hey, no, it's just me. I have to raise my hand.
I know you do. Put your hands up. Raise the roof, Mr. Madlog.
I tell you what, we have Ginger in the studio with us. If you're following us on Periscope, then you can see her on the screen. And you can see Greg on the screen, and I try to stay out of as much as possible. My red hair causes the camera to go crazy. So that's what happens.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
Totally what it is.
We do get a little crazy. We hope to see you, like I said, in December for the Service Center workshops, Educational Service Center workshops. We're also working on some other stuff. We might hope to be doing a show from the JAMP conference in Minneapolis, reaching out to those folks. If we don't do it with them, we'll still do one there.
Right,
so we come to Minneapolis, that would be October the 15th. We'll come live from Minneapolis, Minnesota while we're there for the actual JAMP conference.
Gonna be cool.
So I tell you what, let's let David introduce our guest, and we'll get right to the meat of the subject.
Yeah, absolutely. I first met Ginger online on Plurk, which we've talked about before. That's the first social network that I kind of jumped into that was much more of a professional learning network than a just general social gathering. Now, in those days, Ginger was with the, and I always forget the way the words are, but it's the Learning Center. Does that sound right? Is that right?
It's a Turning Point Learning Center is what it was.
Turning Point. I always forget the TP.
TPLC.
I always forget the TP. Oh, sorry. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, so that's how we first connected, and then we've seen each other, several times at different events. And in fact, are you going to be in New Orleans?
I am AESA.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll be there at AESA, and we'll have to get you to come over and visit with us for a little bit.
Yeah,
when
do you
we're
do
down there.
karaoke? Because we'll get you to sing also.
I might have been known to do a little karaoke a couple of times, but a ukulele, right up my alley, man. You play, I'll sing.
We will definitely we'll make up a song on PBL right on the spot.
That's right.
Kevin Honeycutt loves that stuff. I understand. So
He does.
I'm trying to get in his mind thing.
Well, and that's I guess maybe I'm asking more than telling, but isn't he the one who sort of helped you make that move from Turning Point to the stuff you're doing now?
Yeah, he likes to think so.
I see. That's where I got that. That's okay. That's where that came from.
No, he and I have been working together for the past 10 years. He actually was in on the interview of me coming into work at Turning Point at that school. We can talk about that more if you want to. And actually the school was run by ESDAC, which is our service center. You guys are in Arkansas, and we're in Central Kansas as a service center. Anyway, he was working there, and that's how I made that move over.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
It's more than just him, but he's good. Close partners for 10 years, absolutely.
That's cool. So, I guess the next question would be PBL. Bring us all up to date. Last week, Greg had to say, what's PBL again?
It's peanut butter and lettuce, right?
Peanut butter and lettuce.
Oh my goodness! At least peanut butter and lingonberry or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. In Greg's defense, he's my sysadmin, so a lot of folks don't know what project-based learning is. So I'm going to let you give our listeners a little, what for.
Absolutely. Well, when I talk about PBL, to me it refers both to project, problem, and passion-based learning, because really they're all the same sort of thing. They just are different variations of the same concept. And it just in a nutshell, there are so many different ways in the world to do project-based learning right, that there's really only one thing that they all have in common. And so this is something I encourage teachers. If you're trying to figure out if you're doing projects or truly doing project-based learning, because they're not the same.
Okay.
If you're, and that's what a lot of people think, I do project-based learning. We do projects all the time. I'm, oh, baby. Not really the same. but that's okay. I thought the same thing when I was first there. Anyway, it's learning by doing is project-based learning. See, a lot of times in schools when we're just doing projects, we read a chapter or we read an article or we do a thing.
Uh-oh. Oh, we lost her.
That's doing projects.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, are we still there?
You
Okay.
are. We missed. We lost that last little tidbit.
We lost everything after thing.
Well, I said everything that was important right then.
Of course. Welcome to technology.
Maybe I'm talking with my hands too much. Yeah. So what I was saying
This is radio.
That's great.
is that if I'm reading a chapter or doing or reading an article or watching a video or doing activities, and then I do something. I do a project that shows you what I learned. That's doing projects. Project-based learning is a little bit different in that the kids are given a really tasty question or a challenge or a problem or they come up with one of those. And in order to answer or solve that problem, they have to learn by doing it. And so one is learning and then doing, and then project-based learning or project, problem, passion-based learning is learning by doing. That's it.
That's cool.
Oh, that's all. Yeah. Oh, that's all.
That makes it much easier for me.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can just end the podcast right here.
Thanks for playing. Thanks for joining us. Okay. So, all right. So, those of us that are still a little cloudy after that,
We need to do it in order to learn it. Is what we're saying.
What's an example?
Oh gosh. Well,
What's something that you've worked with students or teachers, as they've learned how to do something that they were trying to solve their problem, do this project.
Sure. I've, like I said, I've been working with Kevin Honeycutt with project-based learning and this for 10 years. I got tapped on the shoulder when I was teaching gifted kids in our district, and they said, "Hey, G, we think that we want to start a new school and we want it to be project-based learning. Can you do this?" And I said, "Sure, I understand differentiated instruction." And they're like, "No, not the same." And and I got 2 days of training with the Buck Institute and then got to start my own school, which is one-to-one laptop and project-based learning. Yeah. And that's what we did is we operated all classes, all age groups with PBL. So when you ask me what are some things I've done, well, years worth. And so when I do, to give kind of an encapsulation, when I work with teachers now, figuring out how to do this with their kids, one of the first things I love to do is have them create a digital story that would hook their kids into, oh my gosh, I can't wait until we start this next unit. Okay. And so that's their challenge, is how are you going to hook your kids? And in giving the teachers that challenge, they get to figure out, well, gosh, how am I going to do this? What do I need to know? And where are we going to learn this? And they're experiencing project-based learning. But beyond that, the stuff that we've done with kids, Kevin and I have come up with 64 finite lessons. I say finite, that's really not the right term at all, because they're infinite lessons, where...
Oh, not again.
We're going to blame the storm.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I have a question. So one of our big deals with what we're doing, Mixler.com, allows you to broadcast 1 hour broadcasts, as many 1 hour broadcasts as you want, for free. And then it keeps those podcasts forever. So what I've been pushing to a lot of the teachers, and David and I have been, the guys that we've been pushing, is how about doing a broadcast with your classroom, and incorporating, writing, and incorporating the script writing and the kids reading, and therefore, once a week a teacher could do a 10-minute audio broadcast for all the parents and grandparents and friends, where the kids are reading some of their creative writing and they're doing maybe some on-air skits and things like that. Not a bad PBL, right?
Oh no, that's not a bad one at all. I mean, they're getting a chance to learn technology. They're getting a chance to learn, of course, they're reading, writing, speaking, listening, and they have a real authentic audience. I really love that. Absolutely. And that would work really well for someone who's, say, in a tech world or who teaches reading and writing. Yeah, I like that. I want our PBLs to integrate into various content areas as much as possible. What happens, I find out, is that teachers see stuff and then they think, oh, that only works in that content area.
Right, yes.
Right. So one of the things that we do, one of the projects is where we have kids create a colony on Mars, or create an underwater sea colony. And so then they can use as much tech with that as they want to, and I've done this with an Amish school around here who, they're not going to do a lot of tech.
Right.
And, well, we laugh, but I actually have a picture of a girl in a bonnet using an iPad. So
that's really great. I have a question actually from our chat on the site. It says, ask Ginger how she suggests we can help teachers move into the world of PBL.
Yeah, I think I think we have to help teachers understand that, that 42-minute class period, that's with one subject at a time really isn't cutting it for kids. I try to think what's really engaging for kids. And sometimes we have to ask teachers, what's really engaging for you in in-services?
Yeah.
Right. So what isn't working for you? And so what is working for you, and how do we get that back into the classroom? And a lot of it's about that voice and choice. So how do we get teachers to move into that? I can't, it's a tough time. I get the phone call, from administrators that says, hey, Ginger, we have one day. Can you come shift our whole school?
Right.
Yeah. Just get that magic wand. Always. Yeah, I got that magic wand around here somewhere.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That comes with the job. Yeah.
That's right. It comes out of my hand like whatever, like Wolverine or something. I don't know. I got 4 of them. Anyway, so so how do we move them into it? I think we have to start just like we do with kids. Where are you right now? Do you understand, higher order thinking skills? And I know this sounds really stupid because people, Bloom's or Webb's depth of knowledge. People say, yeah. But I get hired to help teachers figure that out. And when I put rubber to road, they're not exactly sure how to do it. They intellectually know how, but practicing it's rough. Sure, and then the next step is differentiated instruction and curriculum. If you, first of all, know the difference between those, and then you know how to manage that sort of crazy classroom where kids are doing all sorts of different things, then the next logical step is project-based learning. I find that if you skip those, it can be done, but it's rough for some teachers because the questions, again, they'll intellectually get, oh, okay, it's learning by doing, it's integration, I get it. But then push comes to shove and you're looking at the kids and they're looking at you, now what? Right. And that's where things start to fall down for them, is that daily grind, the next day. They're starting to get some project fatigue. How do you avoid the carrots and sticks that we were taught in college, in pre-service schools? And how do we now really want to continue to motivate the kids? And I think there's such a continuum. Some of the things like where I say the colony on Mars, the underwater sea colony, some gurus in the PBL world look at me and they're like, oh, your stuff, it's not real PBL. It smells too much like school. It should be kids solving real world problems. And I totally agree. But if I start there, the teachers are like, but that has nothing to do with my curriculum.
Right. And
so I don't apologize for saying, yeah, our PBL really does help teachers who aren't sure come across that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny to me that they say those aren't real world projects because colonizing Mars is literally around the corner. That's an issue that is already being discussed. Then we're talking about, the underwater colonies as well. There are plenty of people who are still trying to figure out where are the other places on this planet that we can put human beings. So I find that very interesting that you have folks who are saying that's not a real world project. I
think it's interesting that you said that because I see what you're doing there. If you can just get them thinking in that mode, and that's the key, so that they can go, wait, this doesn't go with my curriculum. Aha! So let's pick something that does work with your curriculum, and let's use the same premise. I get that whole idea, and I wonder how many aha moments do you get to see in a year? Do you get a lot of aha moments where teachers go, oh, wait, I get this, and then they run with it? What's your success rate? I guess that's what I'm asking.
No pressure at all.
I'm just coming flat out and asking the hard questions.
Gee, that's a way to encourage
Hold on,
our
Anderson
guests
Cooper just walked in the door. Come on, Anderson, ask your questions. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we laugh about that, but honestly, my success rate, I think, when we do it over a 4-day period, I found that for me, and maybe it works better for other teachers, but when I have teachers for 4 days, their worlds change. And it's not 4 days back to back. We can't do that in school. So if I can have them 2 days back to back, and the first day they're frustrated, welcome to project-based learning. Yeah, you're going to be frustrated at first, and then we're going to continue to work through that. That second day they feel better. A month later we come back and they've tried out some of the things that they thought that great lady's crazy, but then they tried it out and thought, oh, this is working. Man, their ears are wide open and they're ready to go. They're ready to go after that third day. Yeah. Fourth day, they're just showing what they've learned. And by that time, they're already implementing it. And so it's just kind of a follow-up. 4 days, I've got some pretty darn good success rate. The one day, I'll come in and do a dog and pony show and just frustrate your teachers, and some will get it and some won't. And I don't mean to lie, but that's what it is.
Well, okay, so when you're talking about, especially not the dog and pony thing, but let's talk about the longitudinal training that you're doing. How much involvement do you find you, or maybe the teachers need or want, or end up, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, when are the administrators involved in this? Or are they at all? Or have you gone in to do a 4-day training spread out and have met resistance from certain administrators going, yeah, I appreciate this, but really, I thought you were just going to do a dog and pony show?
Oh, actually, no. They usually know what they're getting when they hire me, and if they don't, they learn real fast. But the truth is, what happens is that the only resistance that I ever get, and it's just for a moment, from administrators, is when I'm starting to challenge them on things they've always done or things they've always trained. Oh, yeah. And I'm just going to say this name out loud because I love him to pieces, and he was just here the other day. Some of the I'm not going to do it.
Come on.
Some of the really, really famous sort of instruction that we learn about classrooms, the stuff that works.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. They say things like, you've got to have your objectives on the board. So when kids come and they know what you're learning. Well, in a project-based learning, that's like saying, hi, kid, happy birthday, your present. Here it is, and it's this, before they even open it. Right. And so when I go in and say, hey, and because teachers will ask, I love them with the teachers in my workshops. Man, they're fearless, because I try to invoke that fearlessness. And by that second day, they say, my administrator says we have to. And I was like, okay, so let's talk about this. And I'm trying not to indict anybody and trying not to get anybody fired, least of all me. And so we talk about it out loud and say, now, where does this matter and why would we do this? And the truth is, I think that your administrator hired me, and they're making an investment. So I think they're willing to listen to different things. So really, again, those people who've chosen to make a difference in their teachers' lives for administrators, there really isn't resistance.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that makes sense. I mean, they're not going to bring you in just out of the blue to not do that. Right. Although I guess maybe.
Sometimes I get hired to fill that day. I can
see that.
Or they didn't follow the idea of, it's 4 days back to back.
Right.
And so then there might be some resistance and some struggles there. But,
So in your travels and in your, because you've been to a lot of schools.
Couple.
How many schools do you see that have technology curriculum coordinator people, to help you, to learn from you and then help? To me, I think of the instructional facilitators and the technology curriculum coordinators can help build those first, PBL projects.
Help
for
maintain
them. How many
momentum.
do you see out there? Are there a lot of schools doing that kind of thing yet?
In some states, those numbers are increasing, and in some states, those numbers are decreasing. Depends on budget. And some, we cut our fine arts, and then we cut our tech support. And so, unfortunately, that's a problem. Those schools who continue to invest in the one tech support person per school, depending, of course, on the size, but they're the ones. I get my heads together with those tech coordinators right away, those integration specialists, and I say, hey, what is it you've taught, and what do you really need me to reinforce for you? Because I can use any of those. And so if we can get our heads together ahead of time or even on site, then I'm reinforcing them, they're reinforcing me, and they're in a role to win. Those districts where those teachers are in the training with me, their teachers are well supported. after I leave. Because, even if I'm there 4 days, again, that magic wand only goes so far.
Right.
And so it's nice to have people. So if you can get your tech instruction, if you can get your curriculum coaches in there, it really makes a big difference. And we may actually wrestle a little bit because, again, curriculum coaches have taught some things that, they were told to teach that are good in a traditional classroom. But a PBL classroom is not a traditional classroom.
Right.
It's PBL is not just a strategy; it's a way of thinking about teaching and learning that really changes the game. So that stuff that just gave me the research on, where was that research conducted? Was it conducted in a PBL classroom? Because if it wasn't, I'm not sure it's valid in this conversation anymore. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
Just saying it's maybe not valid here.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I have to agree. I want to throw out real quick though. John from the chat said, "How often do they not realize what a gym they've hired when they call Ginger in?" Just wanted to let you know that. You got a lot of fans out there. What's interesting is for us, I was a band director for 14 years, so project-based learning is what I did. Whether it was jazz band or marching band was definitely project-based. See my vision, So it was one of those things. I think that's what makes getting teachers into that arena. That's really hard. You're right. 40 minutes, 6-hour workshop. It's really hard to do, and I think the rural school districts have a hard time affording that curriculum person or that technology curriculum person. I've been pushing the idea of a technology curriculum person because we have so many young educators coming out who are so hot on technology, and they can put on a show and get everybody real excited. And I think that's the big key. That's why I asked that question. And how many people do you see getting back into the classroom lately as teachers? Do you see a lot of people, getting back in? Because you're out there in the world, and are they coming back in with real world experience and getting the whole PBL thing better than some other folks?
When I first started PBL, I was a snot-nosed, wet-behind-the-ears, know-it-all sort of teacher. And, those teachers close to retiring, just get on that train.
Yeah.
Until I started talking to them, and I thought, oh, my gosh, they've been teaching this way, and No Child came in and killed us. And some of those retired teachers are the ones who totally get it. Yeah. And I grew up real fast and started maybe reaching out to some of those retired teachers or almost to retired teachers. And then, I love that you say the new teachers coming in are really hot with tech, but that's if they had a really great tech program, and some do and some don't. I hate to say that.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
But even and you were talking about the rural schools, so I can only be there for a little bit. That's what I love about you and me and about our jobs is that we can create communities. I mean, rural schools, I grew up in rural schools for the most part, very small. We'll just talk about the hills of the Ozarks in Missouri.
Okay.
yeah. Right up the road.
Yeah, 12 miles outside of a town had 92 people in it. Come on now. Okay, so that sort of thing. Our jobs is we can create communities. Now, if they'll invest their time in those communities, maybe the curriculum coaches, well, it's better to have them. If you can't afford them, then that next step of those communities is so important.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, I have not been on Plurk in quite a while, but, that was one of those things that I enjoyed about it when it first started up. Now, granted, essentially what I've done is shift my community into different platforms, Facebook, Twitter, other areas. And that really does. That makes a world of difference. Even when I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, or I'm not quite sure that what I'm saying is accurate or the way to go, I can throw it out there, and the community is either supportive of it or corrective to varying degrees. And so, I am me after all. But I absolutely agree with having those communities. And I think even if you've got a curriculum integration, technology integration person, then at the minimum, that person needs to be part of a community. Best case scenario, that person helps create the community, or at least bring in other folks into the communities that they are a part of. I know we're tech folks, right? So we love talking tech stuff. But I have also seen the progress and results of many of the training sessions that you've had with teachers, with students, because you guys are posting stuff online all the time about, this is what these kids are doing. This is what they've developed. These are some of the projects they've taken part of. And I can't tell you how many of those, you probably could tell me because you're the creator of them, but very, at least from my vantage point outside looking in, very few of them actually use much what we would consider tech at all. And
Well,
go ahead.
there's an intention with that. A lot of times when I go into schools, if I'm called in to do PBL, it's probably because they're not already connected, and so tech isn't comfort to them. And so I've got to choose which hole I'm going to throw them down first. And so I try to do little pieces of it together. I don't want I don't want tech to be an extra, and I want it to be just what we do. And so tech is involved in every single thing we do. It's just you don't always see it in the pictures because, talk to me about, okay, I take a picture of you working on that laptop. All the pictures are this. We're just sitting on a laptop.
Yeah.
And that's not exciting.
Right.
Even though it may be really exciting in the brain and in the heart and as we're diving into the tech piece. But I don't want it to be scary. And everything, it's one of my mantras is tech takes us further, faster, deeper. If you can't teach without tech, you're probably not a very good teacher. But if you do, it takes you further, faster, deeper. Let's do it. We have to. Sure. And so it's integrated in everything I do. I can't live without. When I transferred over to this new computer, I still have my old one because of what if I lost something? What if something? Now I'm walking around with 2 iPads, 2 computers. Are you kidding me?
We've all been there.
And never mind that it's all on the cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
We're old school enough. We got to have that tangible, thing in our hands.
I have another question here from Eric on chat. He says, ask Ginger if she thinks that colleges should concentrate on tech integration on a college level, or at least do IWB, I think that's interactive whiteboard if I'm not mistaken, IWB classroom usage as a mandatory course.
Wow.
I know, see, that's one, even I'm like,
Well, I kind of have some strong opinions about interactive whiteboards.
So do I.
I think we all do.
Do we need to take a break to think about it?
No, I've been asked this so many times. I can navigate this minefield.
Okay.
I love interactive whiteboards for what they're originally used for. The fact that every administrator got all hot about them and bought them for everybody and then didn't give them professional learning, that's not the teacher's fault. Sure. But it is still front of the room technology, and project-based learning is not about front of the room learning anymore. And so I don't really want to talk about interactive whiteboards unless that's the only device you have. And if it is, gosh almighty, get on it.
Well, I tell you what we did last year. We moved to all Apple TVs.
Yeah, got rid of all the whiteboards.
Just for the idea
televisions.
of let's make a projection device that
anybody can project.
Anybody can project it. All of our kids are one-to-one iPad. So hey, kid wants to show something, boom, it's up there on the screen.
Yeah, if you can't go one-to-one, which if you didn't invest in the whiteboard, you might be able to. But
ouch.
You could probably go 2-to-1 if you did.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Which is still better than 2 on the whiteboard and the rest still just watching.
I meant 2 devices for every child.
No, it's not like that. But either way, moving forward into the first part of the question was different though. What should we do with the colleges? This is where I live, and I guess I'm a hammer looking at every problem like a nail. But I truly, truly believe that if colleges would go more to the project, problem, passion-based learning, that it would be about learning. And then technology is not the extra add-on. It just is what we use. And when people start moving, I see this happen with pre-service teachers. Believe it or not, I work a little bit with pre-service. They don't always let me get too close to them.
It might rub off. Don't let it get too close.
I get into the pre-service professors, but they don't let me do the kids. But anyway, is that if we can, I guess the tech is what it is. This is what we're using, and we're going to collaborate, and we're going to communicate, and it's the learning that goes with it that is engendered by the tech. Don't talk to me about the tech unless you just only know one tool for this behavior.
Right.
Okay, so if you only know one tool, cool. Let's quit, get in a hurry and know 20 tools for that behavior, because that one tool is going to go away or change.
Right.
But it's still about the behavior, the learning, the thing that we're doing.
Yeah, the technology is just a tool. If you're focused on the tool, you lose track of what you're actually using it for.
Unless, of course, you're wanting to teach the tool.
Exactly.
So then teach the tool. Teach it, the whole variety of tools, and put tools in the toolbox so that kids can then choose as they're moving on to solve their own problems.
Right.
Okay, this is the tool I like. Here we go. We're on that one. So yeah, sometimes you do have to teach the tool, and that's totally, let's do it.
Yeah, but metric always confuses me. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
So, no, it's interesting. We had this conversation yesterday. We were talking about Google Apps for Education and Office, and as it was an email conversation on a thread, and I realized that, and a lot of them said, well, when the kids go to college, they need to know Office. And I thought, the only reason Office is still pushed at the collegiate level is because we're not pushing them to prep our kids for the future after post-secondary.
Exactly.
And so it's our job as secondary education, well, K-12, to push, hey, let me just come to school. You want me to write a paper? I'm going to write a paper. Don't ask me how. I'm just going to get you the paper.
This is bold, this is italic, this is a paragraph. It's all the same no matter what you're using.
Right.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I think part of the problem is that we still have folks who, that's how they expect the results to be submitted.
Right.
You're going to write this paper. Yeah, but I don't want to write a paper. I want to build this, or I want to make this, or I'm going to make a video. One of the coolest things that I have seen is there's a teacher over in Fort Smith who she opened up her classroom. She was, she had the traditional, you're going to type in you're going to type up a paper and you're going to make a PowerPoint. And then she kind of opened up a little bit and said, well, okay, instead of just PowerPoint, maybe you could use Prezi or you could use something else. And finally, she just opened it up and said, look, if you can demonstrate that you know the content, I don't care how you do it. And she had a student who, he has laid down some of the coolest literary-based, is that how I want to say it? Literature-based, I don't know how you want to say that, raps I have ever heard. It is amazing. And everything's in there, and he explains, the theme and the plot and the characters, and everything is in there. He is demonstrating his knowledge. He just did it as a 3.5, 4 minute rap, and it's just like, holy cow. And she said it was the best thing she ever did, was just open it up to where she got away from that. You've got to type a paper, and you've got to use Word, and whatever else. So
plus that avoids the. I know that in college that we've all been to college, so we've all written papers, and we go, okay, I'm just going to BS my way through this paper, and because the teacher's busy and they don't want to really, okay, is this really a paper? Is this just
right,
taking me for a ride?
Yeah.
It's way too easy to BS on papers. It's if you're actually doing something that isn't a paper and you've actually got to demonstrate that you know the content in some way that isn't locked into all the buzzwords of, okay, I have the proper paragraph structure and I have my cited resources and all that sort of nonsense. It's much harder to fake out the teacher.
I fake out the teacher, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So two things with that. One is I talk to career tech ed people quite a bit. That's a big focus of mine, because I really want kids to be prepared for their futures. And so one of the things I hear from them is they continually tell me about Microsoft Office as the industry standard. And so in other words, they're talking to business people, and I thought, well, why do business people know this? And it reminds me of that Henry Ford quote that said, if I'd asked my customer what they wanted, they'd have said a faster horse.
Yes,
Exactly.
So if we know now, so then that leads to the second part, and I love what you talked about, this teacher, that awakening there. And so my challenge would be now for that type of teacher is, okay, good. Now you're differentiating the product. Now, what is it that they're learning from that could be differentiated to, or did you just give them the challenge of, here's what you're learning, learn it however you want, and show me what you learned. So then that's
Gotcha.
Maybe PBL.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Man, that's great. No, that's yeah.
I'm reading chats here.
It's
So I have a question. So project-based learning is not traditional in your way of, okay, you have a right answer necessarily. I mean, yes, you have to demonstrate that you know the content, but it's much more difficult to grade. How do you approach that? I mean, how do you give grades? How do you approach the grading aspect?
Me as a teacher, or what do I advise teachers? Because
Either
that's
one.
two different things.
Either one.
Oh, that's interesting in itself right there.
Tell us what
Yes.
you advise and then what you do.
Right.
There you go.
One of the first things I advise teachers is I tell them a story, and I'm going to tell you the story briefly here. When I first started into project-based learning, I needed to make sure that they learned exactly what I needed them to learn, and I wasn't sure they were learning it through the projects. And so I would go ahead and give a test. And one example of this was we were doing they were learning the bones. This is 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Learning anatomy, bones. I don't know how many were there. Were 843. I don't know. But 203. And so I gave him the list of bones, and I gave him that that ubiquitous skeleton that has the lines coming off where you label what. Right. Everybody's used that one. And I said, okay, you have this. It's a 2-week-long project we're going to take to build this 4-foot-tall skeleton. Why 4 foot tall? Because nobody in the school was 4 foot tall, and so therefore it was scaled, and they had to do math too. Okay, so but any time during this 2-week period, feel free to come take this test. You must have the test taken by the end. I need to make sure you really know the bones beyond just building the skeleton. And 3 days into this 2-week-long project, everybody had passed the test.
Oh, nice.
Oh, crap. Now what?
Right.
Now I got to build another test. Darn.
We're still building the skeleton, and I'm not ready for the next project. And oh my gosh, well, they're still having fun. We get down maybe 2 days left in finishing up the project, and I hear him say things. Well, how is that scapula attached? It's not really. It must be with the ligaments, and they're really starting to talk about the bones, and they have to use. I don't let them say leg bone or things like that. and toward the end, when we got finished, I said, guys, we should have knocked this off 3 days in. Because you already knew the bones. And they all laughed at me. And they said, we didn't know the bones. We just passed the test. We know them now. And I know that's true because that's what I used to do is just pass the test and forget it 10 minutes later. Sure. And at that point, I realized I didn't need to give those multiple choice tests anymore. Mm-hmm. But for teachers who aren't sure, everybody's going to have their moment. And again, I'm not going to apologize for, the PBL gurus in the world is like, oh, she's not doing real PBL. Shh, be quiet, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those teachers who are not sure about taking the leap. Give them a dadgum test so that you know for sure, and eventually your day will come when you don't need to as well. So you can give grades that way. But once you get into PBL deeper, this is where I start to push, is that percent correct. What does that really measure? Is it measuring content knowledge, or is it measuring something else like maybe behavior? Because if a kid turned in something late, did you dock them on grade? Okay, so it's really not about how much they know or don't know. It really is about behavior too. Sure. I want to separate out. And this is what we did at our school. And oh gosh, I hate grades, and I really hated grades then. But it was really important for the parents to see really what their kids are doing. So we would assess the kids and give them feedback on, are they working at, above, or below grade level? What are they ready for? Are they working at, above, or below pacing? Expected pacing. So if they're working above grade level, below pacing, they should get their butts kicked at home, even if they're getting that percent correct at like in the 93%.
Right.
And then we need to measure: how are they working in a group? How are they working individual? And so those 5 pieces give a parent a real view of how the kid is doing in the classroom beyond just the percent correct, which is really about behavior or content, or I'm not sure.
Right.
And it would always confuse parents. They'd be like, what in the world, when they're new to the school? What is this? And I'm like, well, come on in. Let's have a conversation.
Right.
And so they did.
So something else you brought up there was pacing. How do you approach pacing where, okay, that we threw the project at him, I thought it was going to take a month, it took 2 days. Now what do I do?
Yeah, there's that real thing there. To me, if that happens for your whole classroom, then you've got to reassess what your challenge was and who your kids are. Because my PBL was never so. In fact, I would struggle not giving them enough time. Wow. And so that's rarely an issue because they just go deeper. Right. And so when they have a question, the challenge, and then they say, well, what do we need to find out? Well, there are side questions that I walk around the room, and as they're doing initial research, and I'm like, okay, well, what about, so say they're building, one of the things we talk about a lot is a Viking ship. We build a 1/5 scale model Viking ship. And that's your challenge. So now I don't give a crap about the Viking ship. This is not an arts and crafts project. I care. But the kids care about it, right? And so I go through and I'm like, well, where did they travel? Well, what did they wear? And pillage and plunder? What does that mean? Oh, you mean what was the weaponry that they would have had? And so I'm asking particular kids these types of questions. Now, I'm not asking every kid every question, because if I know the girl's interested in fashion, she's going to tell me about what they wore. And if a kid's, interested in wars and weaponry, that's that kid. Right. I'm going to ask that. And they're diving in, getting the initial research. And so those questions like that, where I can take them further, those never end. There's never, what, are you going to run out of learning on Vikings? Then I need to get in a hurry when I go home and look deeper. There's no running out of learning.
No.
Wow, very cool.
Indeed.
Well, so what's coming up next for Ginger Lewman? What's on the calendar? Where can everyone that's listening find you?
Oh my gosh, what an awesome question. Because I just got finished with a crazy summer schedule. People would ask me, where do you live? And I'm like, well, my husband, my dog, and my stuff live in Hutchinson, Kansas. I visited every once in a while. So I think I've got some dates coming up. I'll be in Wisconsin. I'll be in some Pennsylvania area. I know I'm going back into Oklahoma. My passion my foundation really has been project and problem-based learning, but I've been taking that to the next level with Maker Education lately. And so, again, like I did with PBL with Kevin, is making that bridge from regular traditional classroom into pure PBL, but not apologizing for making a bridge. That's what I'm doing between STEM and Maker Ed, and we call it STEAM Maker. And it's that.
And right in the middle of the conversation.
Of course.
We had a little glitch with Skype, and I'm not sure if it's our end or that end.
I think we actually lost her.
This is the part where we shake our fist at the sky and curse Microsoft.
Hey, well, you're listening to radio.edutechguys.com. We're coming to you live from the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op in Hope, Arkansas. Hey, she's back. Sorry we lost you on the Skype. We are having thunderstorms in this area, so it is Arkansas, and it is rural Arkansas.
Okay.
So
we aren't saying
she was just telling us, I had just asked Ginger what she had for the rest of the year and where she was coming from and all that kind of good stuff. And we'll try to get our camera back on and see if she can see us.
There we go.
Can we hear you?
Yes.
I just figured my answer would become tiresome.
No.
And that's all the time we have. We'll just cut her off right there.
That's enough.
So I have to ask a quick favor. I'm not trying to run you off, but so December, David and Greg will be holding me on the fort here. We'll be at the AESA conference. Can we count on you coming by and sharing some more stuff with us?
Oh, 100% I will be there.
Cool. We're going to have a party, so it's going to be a lot of fun on the air.
Yeah.
Cool. I also want to throw out your website, gingerlumen.wordpress.com.
Sure.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Gingerlumen.org will get you there, too.
Okay.
Well, sure. Gingerlumen.org will get you there.
Okay. So all you have to do is Google her. So
there you go.
Just Google Ginger Lewman.
Awesome.
PBL.
Well, we sure appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us this afternoon. I have learned a lot about PBL. So if anyone else out there is this old hat to them, I appreciate you sharing, because you've taught at least one person something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
Me
this.
too. Yeah. Ginger, thanks for today.
Absolutely. Super fun, guys.
Awesome.
We'll see you soon.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you're listening to radio.edutechguys.com. We just had Ginger Lewman on. We're talking project-based learning. Project-based learning. It's been a day. Project-based, problem-based, and passion-based learning. I want to make sure I get all those in there, because she is right. That P can stand for a lot of things. Going to go to a quick promo real quick, and we'll be right back with EduTech Guys Radio.
Join EduTech Guys live from the 30th Annual AESA Conference in New Orleans, December 2nd through the 5th. We'll be providing day-by-day coverage as we talk with presenters, attendees, and members of education service agencies from around the nation. Get rid of the noise and listen to the music with EduTech Guys Live, December 2nd through the 5th. Brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative, Hope Public Schools, and the Association of Education Service Agencies.
All right, we are going to jump into our featured artist of the week, and that is Nick C, Niksea. He is from Pittsburgh. Happens to be my cousin. Yes, that's true. Nick is my cousin. That's
Nepotism.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes it helps to who you know, right? So there you go. But he's part of a group that he heads up, and we've got a song from him. It is called "Letting Go," and I want you guys to give a listen, and we'll be back. Appreciate it.
Guess you're in your moonlit face, and I know it's true. Well, like shining stars will never fade when it's me and you. That lifelong love down till the end. The words that you told me, but not what you meant. But I knew I loved you for quite some time. I knew I loved you, and for once in my life I thought I finally had the thing right. Now let go. Your ruby lips, your windblown hair, let your lies sneak through. A gentle kiss, your southbound eyes, and my pride kills my truth. That lifelong love down till the end. The words that you told me, and now what you meant. But I knew I loved you for quite some time. I knew I loved you, and for once in my life I thought I finally had the thing right. And when it's all said and done, and your memory is shining through on those yesterdays of your evil ways, and there ain't no bridge undone. Well, I'll leave you be. Ain't no finding me, no, 'cause I'm letting go. Well, I knew I loved you for quite some time. I knew I loved you, and for once in my life I thought I finally had that thing right. Now let go. Oh, now let go. Now I'm letting go. Now I'm letting go. Now I'm letting go.
All right, that is Nick C and Letting Go. Nick informed me that he is actually heading into the studio to make his first full-length album this weekend. And then in November, he and his group are booked at Harvey's Tavern in West Mifflin. That's on November 28th. In the meantime, he's also working on dates for the Hard Rock Cafe in Pittsburgh, which he's already played once that I know of. Also, Jurgle's Rhythm Grill and Stage AE next year to help promote his album. So lots of cool stuff coming up from Nick C. You can Google that, Niksea, and check him out.
Cool. Hey, one little quick shout out here. David had a really great article he found on a 15-year-old high school junior from Baltimore. Took an old piano that was at the school, connected it to a makey-makey, ran the thing through a Raspberry Pi, and created a jukebox that plays songs from a Spotify list. So you look at the video screen, you find your song, then you tap the corresponding key on the keyboard to select your tune. You can Google DHF Jukebox Piano, and you'll find more information on it, videos, and more about this really cool project. And I think Makey and Raspberry Pi, really cool stuff out there. You can do some really cool, neat things with it. I think most of the kids would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I was. Pardon me for getting away. I meant to put her name in the notes and I forgot, but that was Sierra Seabreeze is her name. She's a 15-year-old high school junior, and it's very cool the way that she integrated all this stuff, and actually she even expanded on the project from its original form. I think if I remember from reading, it started out as just the piano keys with the interface into the Spotify playlist, but then she's added all kinds of different sound-activated LEDs, and I mean it's a whole like light show out of this old piano and new technology. Very cool.
That's cool. See, now there's a really neat project-based learning piece. You know, just keep building on it and building on it and building on it. Well, impressive.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's funny. I guess I don't know if funny is the right word, but it's definitely interesting that they had this old piano at the school, and that was kind of their project. What do we do with this old piano? It's just sitting there, and they, for whatever reason, they couldn't get rid of it. I don't quite understand that either. But anyway, they couldn't get rid of it. They had to figure out something to do with it. And all of a sudden, you know, this project was born. So
awesome,
very cool,
awesome,
cool. Since we have a little time left, I don't know if you enjoyed it, but Nick C's song "Letting Go," man, what a nice tune.
Yeah, he's got some chops, man.
I dig the groove. So, what do you say? I never heard these albums, and since we have a little time, how about we listen to "Just Love Me" by Nick C and the Blue Tops?
Well, it's now just Nick C. It was Nick C and the Blue Tops, and he's kind of reinvented himself.
As bands do.
Yes, and so it's Nick C.
Cool. Nick C, Just Love Me.
When your eyes they gaze upon me, and your silhouette is near, all I will ask of you is to love me down, down, down. When your mercy is all around me, and your poetry is clear, all I can ask of you, will you love me now, now, now? Though I love you more than words, I can't say no. I ain't throwing that away, no. Just love me like you wanna do.
Hey, you're listening to EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com. And that was Nick C. Just Love Me. Great song, great tune. He's a great artist. You should check him out on the web. Just look up Niksea, Nick C. You can find him on the web. Hey, I want to throw out one thing. I want to thank John for listening to us from Adventures. Thanks for listening, John, and we're glad we're fun listening to you. He also mentioned, don't forget, you can always hook up with Kevin Honeycutt and Ginger Lewman anytime at Podstock next summer because they all visit Podstock and do all the good stuff. Yeah. Hey, you've been listening to radio.edutechguys.com. It's EduTechGuys Radio. It's a fun time. You come for the tech, you stay for the talk. And Greg gives us all the smart stuff while Jeff babbles on and David points at him and laughs.
As Greg comes in late. I got to make up for it somehow.
That's right. Cool. That's right.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm Greg Moore.
And I'm David Henderson.
Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.